People will oftentimes say, like, we don't like hearing the truth because the truth hurts. And I'm trying to figure out, like, in what universe that's true. Like, how does the truth hurt? I mean, that's like saying walls hurt. If you use the walls, if you use the roof for the things for which they were designed, they're helpful. They protect you. They're good. If you put your head down and you go running headfirst into the wall, you're right, the wall hurts. The wall hurts. The same way with the truth. The truth only hurts if you fight against it. The truth is helpful. It protects you if you're in accord with it, if you live in accord with it. Because if you think that, like, by lying to someone that you get them on your side, yeah, today, but what happens next week when you run afoul of them in some other way? In other words, if you have a person in your life who can't handle the truth, who's going to get angry at the truth, they're going to get angry eventually anyway. And you will have lived an entire life or an entire week or an entire 6 months or 2 years, or however long your relationship is with them, sacrificing yourself, compromising yourself, lying to them. And then at the end of it, you're going to lose them anyway. And besides which, do you really want that person around anyway? Because you know one thing, if they can't handle the truth, they're probably not going to tell it to you either. So you want to surround yourself with people who actually take you away from what's real and good and true. Or do you want people around you who are going to put you in accord with the universe? Because if the universe is truth, if everything around you is truth, it's good to be in accord with that. You can't lose. You know what? You can't. I mean, you can't. You can't lose. You can have a perception that you've lost, but there is no, like, your truth and my truth and their truth. There's only the truth. That's worse than that. What happens if you're a dude and you pee on a stick pregnancy test and it comes back positive? You have advanced prostate cancer. You're going to die soon, unless there's immediate intervention. But now you see Planned Parenthood's problem, because they're stuck now. Because what are they supposed to say? All right, bro, jig is up, all right? all that gender stuff, that's fine out on Twitter, but look, in the real world, you've got advanced prostate cancer and you're going to die soon. No, according to the Planned Parenthood policies, they're not allowed to address him as anything except for his preferred pronouns and to see him as he sees himself in his lived experience. So the staff is, you can see they're visibly uncomfortable, but they congratulate him that he's going to be a mom. And he's like, I'm so excited, and he leaves. Now, so there goes this question. What do we tell them? The truth or something else? Because sometimes reality hits you. The truth is that we live in a universe that does not care about our opinion of it. So if this had actually happened, in other words, if this wasn't just like a comedic, and by the way, he actually did go to real Planned Parenthood. He really did have a hidden camera and all that. So, but if he really did believe what he was saying, and if the pee really was his, and if it really did come back positive, he would really, really be dead today. And nothing would have been said to him. He'd have been allowed to leave there. He'd have been so excited. He'd have gone home. And then 6 to 12 months later, he'd have been dead. So at what point do we drop that facade and go, all right, here's the truth? I don't know. At what point, I mean, maybe it's a little bit less severe, but at what point do you pull this person aside and tell them they have a gambling addiction? Or this addiction, or that addiction? At what point do you tell a person that the relationship that they're in is incredibly unhealthy and that you're afraid for their mental well-being or even their physical safety? At what point do we pull anybody aside and tell them the truth? Because there is a truth out there. It does exist. There is objective reality. There is objective truth. We have different perceptions of it. This goes back to what I said earlier. I asked that question, can 2 + 2 = 5? And then some of you were like, absolutely no. Some of you were like, I don't know, maybe it's a trick question. There is no trick question there. And then I said something to the effect of, it obviously does not equal 5, unless you're a Harvard-trained mathematician. What I mean by that is this question came up a couple of years ago, and it was all over the internet. Can 2 + 2 = 5? And there were people who were saying, yes, actually 2 + 2 can equal 5. it quite clearly cannot. It is impossible. Where it came from was this Harvard graduate student who was getting his PhD in mathematics who wrote an article for the New York Times and said, actually, 2 plus 2 can equal 5. And he goes on this long explanation. And what it amounts to is this. If you change the definition of 2, so that 2 no longer equals this, but 2 actually equals this. I'm sorry, I'll make it easy. So that 2 no longer equals this, but instead 2 equals this, and we just change our conception of that, then yes, 2, if this now means 2, and now this means 2, well then yes, that can equal 5. This is the kind of stuff that gets planes to crash. This is the kind of stuff that makes satellites fall from the sky. This is the kind of stuff that has dudes being positive on pregnancy tests and being allowed to leave the clinic and die. There is a truth that's out there. I'm not saying, therefore, that please don't take from this anything more than what I'm saying. That sometimes the truth is so alarming that if you don't share it, someone's going to die, and you have to weigh these things out now. How much do you care for this person? Do you care for this person enough that you tell them the truth? Regardless of what it's going to cost you. I might get canceled. I might get yelled at. They may not be my friend anymore. My dad's going to disown me. Whatever it is. But you care so much about them that you're willing to sacrifice and risk everything else in order to save them. Or is it just like, first things first, got to save myself? And that is a real question, by the way. And how do you do that? How do you answer that? That really is going to be up to you. Because there will be cases in which, you need to save yourself. There are some cases in which telling them the truth isn't going to do anything positive necessarily. And that goes back to what Carl was saying, that if you're not asked for it, then maybe you're not obliged to give it. In other words, if somebody walks up to you and asks you, hey, do you think I have a gambling addiction? Then you ask them, maybe, because they're standing in front of you naked, and you go, what happened to your clothes? I lost them in a bet. You might have a gambling addiction then. There might be a problem. But if they didn't ask you, are you kind of obliged to give your opinion about things? Or should you wait? Well, there are some certain circumstances in which maybe you shouldn't wait. I can it's kind of an extreme case, but maybe you can think of it this way. If let's say after school we're standing out here and someone takes a dare, they put on a blindfold and they decide they're going to walk across Highland on a dare. What's going to happen to this person after school on Highland? Yeah, they're going to find out that there is such a thing as reality and truth. They're about to meet it at about 45 miles an hour, depending on the skid marks. Now, are you obliged to run over and grab that person, pull them back from the edge and say, dude, look, there are cars coming. You're going to die. Show them, the car's going by. Maybe drop a tennis ball in the Highland, see the tennis ball get hit by a car and go, that would have been you. Or do you sit there and go, didn't ask my opinion. And you get your camera and record. And I don't know. And of course, that's an extreme case. And you might think, okay, in that case, yes, you must intervene. Then I guess I'd ask you, okay, in which case then do you not intervene? And what separates those two? And that really is a real question. Like I was talking to, I don't remember if it was this class, I was talking to one of my classes. And one of the realizations that hit me going from being a student into eventually, to this point now, becoming a teacher, is looking back and realizing I don't think that we got away with nearly as much as we thought that we got away with. And I get this impression, or I get this understanding anyway, that a lot of times people think they get away with way more. One of the things that I remember, for example, I was thinking of a student I was talking to at the end of last school year, I think it was. And they were talking about this one teacher and how these students, got away with this thing in the class. Long story. I saw the teacher when we came back from summer break, one of our pre-service meetings, and having a conversation with him. And I kind of led the conversation in a direction because I was kind of curious. And the person ends up telling me about that having happened. I said, oh yeah, and was telling me about this. The teacher knew it had happened. So then the question is, I asked, well, why you don't intervene? It's like, why not? I goes, too much work. Just give them Fs anyway and move on. Because you think about well, what do? Get involved in every single situation? Because if you stop and kick every single barking dog, you'll never get to your destination. And that was their answer. And I thought, I don't remember if it was in this class, but I was talking to one of my classes and thinking, man, that sucks when you get to a point where people don't even intervene in your life anymore. They've given up on you to that point. That it's like, it's not even worth intervening. They're going to find out eventually in real life anyway. And I think, crap. Because I think I got away with a lot in high school. Now I wonder, did I really get away with it? Or did my teachers just go, Scallon's a dead end anyway. He's got no future. Let him go. I don't know. I guess it'd be worse if our parents let us get away with it, because it's one thing to be considered a dead end by your high school counselor. It's another thing to be considered a dead end by your parents. You know? And so, is there something to be said, though, for letting people go a little bit and find out or explore those boundaries? I think there's something that's true about that, too. You know, when you guys take a bathroom pass, you really go in the bathroom. Yeah. As your teacher, oh, yes, absolutely, they're all going to the bathroom. Really? You know, come on. We all know that there's something there, but you explore those gray areas outside the lines, because you do that in life as well. Better to learn how to do those little things incrementally when you're here rather than out in the world. At what point do you stop that, though? At what point do you enforce the truth? Because the truth is the truth. The truth is that it always catches up with us. Because as I said earlier, we live in a universe that doesn't care about our opinion of it. You know, theoretically, could you stand in front of a car and it could pass right through you? Yeah, theoretically. If all of the atoms in your body and all of the atoms in the car are aligned perfectly, I guess hypothetically that car could go right through you and you'd never even feel it. Theoretically. But is that the truth? Is that the truth manifests in the real world? No, and that's the thing, is that the truth always has a way of catching up with us. Maybe not that one thing that you did, but that one thing that's part of a pattern of behavior that eventually does catch up with us. And so, I mean, and it really does. I'm really working this thing out in my head, trying to figure out, at what point do you tell people the truth? At what point do I stop people from doing things? Yeah, you guys have already gathered. When do I stop you? When it becomes a distraction to everybody else. That's when. When it's a suggestion of disrespect, and when it's a distraction to everybody else. Other than that, I'm not here to save anyone's life. I'm not here to change anybody. I'm not that teacher in a 90s movie who's going to make this massive impact on your life. Most of you, if not all of you, will probably entirely forget my name within 5 years of graduating. And at some point, 20 years from now, you might be at a reunion trying to remember who you even had for English. What impact can I have on your life as one person against the hundreds of others who are in your life, especially the ones who've been with you up to this point for 18 years? There's no illusion that will make any difference in your life. So then what's the point of intervening? Unless it's going to have an impact. I don't know. I really don't know that. And this is something that lots of you will struggle with and wrestle with as you grow older. You'll find yourself at work. At what point do that one person you work with who's kind of annoying and late or whatever, at what point do you finally say something? Or do you just kind of let it go, even though it irritates you and makes your day worse? Is it fair that you get to go through your whole day irritated while they kind of go through life dumb and happy? I don't know. Because what if you do bring it up? Does it create a bigger problem? I don't know. But if you want to help people, I guess he says, tell them the truth. Because here's the thing, you don't know how your behavior is until someone does tell you. You don't, because none of us knows how we're perceived. None of us knows how we look in other people's eyes. You know, you might think that you're the most annoying person in the world, and yet people may have such an incredibly high opinion of you. And you'd never know it unless they told you. Wouldn't it be great if they told you? You think like, yeah, like wouldn't you want to know if there's someone in your life who's having a huge positive impact on you? You know, yeah, you probably want to know if you're having an impact on someone, a positive impact on someone. Other people might also want to know. Otherwise, they may have no idea. You get 30 years from now, and they'll have no idea. You know, do the people in your life who you care about know what you think about them? Do your parents know what you think about them? Do your friends know how important they are to you? You might not have any idea because of course, how would you know? No one's ever told you. How would you know? How could you know? And so sometimes we just tell people just so that, well, the same reason I tell you things. Not because I think it's going to make a difference, but just because I don't know, you can never say no one ever told you. You know, and at least, maybe that's the very least that we owe people, to be able to to give them an opportunity so they know. It's kind of like if you have a bad experience at a business, should you complain about it? I wouldn't not even necessarily think of it as a complaint. Think of it as informing. Especially if it's like not like a McDonald's or like a big chain place, but especially if it's like a small shop. Imagine if it was your business, and when a customer comes in and your employee treats them rudely. Wouldn't you want to know if it was your business? If it was your livelihood, if it was your money on the line, wouldn't you want to know? Yeah, I mean, at McDonald's, it probably won't make a big difference if it's not a franchise. But I don't know, maybe give you the opportunity to realize, wow, there's this employee and there's this, and they've chased away this customer. I wonder how many more they've chased away. The rule is something like 7 to 1. For every one person who complains, there's 7 who have the same complaint. I think it's probably higher than that even. Wouldn't it be terrible to have to go out of business and never know why and just be like, I don't know, all of a sudden people stop coming? Wouldn't it have been great to have known 3 years earlier it's because you had one employee who was chasing away a bunch of customers? At least you can know. At least you can know. But the second part here, though, when you want to help yourself, you tell people what they want to hear. And that's nefarious, man, because that means that you're kind of just using people. But there is that in-between ground, which cause hit, which is that maybe you just don't share it unless they ask, or unless it's really, really urgent. Step back from Highland Avenue. Take the blindfold off. Because I was saying last period, people will oftentimes say, like, we don't like hearing the truth because the truth hurts. And I'm trying to figure out, like, in what universe that's true. Like, how does the truth hurt? I mean, that's like saying walls hurt. What's the function of a wall? Well, it's to protect you from the elements, man. If we didn't have this roof right now, the sun would be on us. Yesterday morning, it would have been raining on us. The purpose of the walls and the roof is to keep us protected from the elements. If you use the walls, if you use the roof for the things for which they were designed, they're helpful. They protect you. They're good. If you put your head down and you go running headfirst into the wall, you're right, the wall hurts. The wall hurts. It's the same with the truth. The truth only hurts if you fight against it. The truth is helpful. It protects you if you're in accord with it. If you live in accord with it. Because if you think that, like, by lying to someone that you get them on your side, yeah, today, but what happens next week when you run afoul of them in some other way? In other words, if you have a person in your life who can't handle the truth, who's going to get angry at the truth, they're going to get angry eventually anyway. And you'll have lived an entire life or an entire week or an entire 6 months or 2 years, or however long your relationship is with them, sacrificing yourself, compromising yourself, lying to them. And then at the end of it, you're going to lose them anyway. And besides which, do you really want that person around anyway? Because you know one thing, if they can't handle the truth, they're probably not going to tell it to you either. So you want to surround yourself with people who actually take you away from what's real and good and true. Or do you want people around you who are going to put you in accord with the universe? Because if the universe is truth, if everything around you is truth, it's good to be in accord with that. You can't lose. You can't, man, you can't. You can't lose. You can have a perception that you've lost, but there is no like your truth and my truth and their truth. There's only the truth. We have different perceptions of it, but that doesn't change the nature of what it is. It just means that we see it differently. It doesn't change the thing itself. If I hold this up and I ask you what color is this bottle, and some of you might say it's gray, some of you might say it's blue. Some of you might be really annoying and go, wait, which part? Because you think it's a trick question. But it's either gray or it's blue. We might see it differently depending on the lighting, but it is one or the other. And the problem, therefore, is with our perception, how we see things. Is it good to lie to a person? No. Well, it depends on how you see it. No. It's either gray or it's blue. Which is it? Lying is either just or it's unjust. Things are either right or they're wrong. It isn't about your perception. Your perception, in fact, shades it. Because our perceptions are based off of that second part right there, what we want. And that's the problem, that we're oftentimes wrong about what we want. We think we want this, we want something. But in actuality, that thing that we get could absolutely destroy us. You might think you want fame and fortune, Maybe eventually you'll be able to handle it, but man, I wonder if any of you guys think you'd be a better person if you were world famous today? Like if all of a sudden tomorrow you woke up and you're the most famous, anybody here be the worst person in the world? Yeah, it might be a competition, but if we both woke up tomorrow very famous, I'm not sure who'd be worse, you or me. I think I would be worse. It's a competition now, it's on. We'll find out. So maybe you think that's the thing that you want, but it might be the very thing that destroys you. So maybe get our perceptions, maybe our desires in line with truth, and that could be a full-time job. And that's probably a talk for a different day. So questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? Neat. Happy Monday.
Tuesday.
Oh, that's your perception.